Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson and this is my Snapchat Q&A. Thank you to everybody who sent in a Snapchat. This is a regular video that we do. It's Friday or Saturday every week. I am thinking about moving around my schedule and I do want your guys' input a little bit into what goes on in the schedule. There's going to be a couple of things get shook up on the gaming channel, but that's just gaming only. This channel, we've experimented with a couple of things. We experimented with vlogging and all the rest of it, and I wouldn't mind bringing it back at some point, but do you guys want to see 7 days worth of content on this channel? And do you want it to just be United related content? And do you think we should maybe move the podcast onto its own separate channel? These are all things that I'm rolling around my head at the moment. I might make this a United only channel. I might make this whatever, but then things like the Snapchat Q&A, and I'm not sure where they end up going. Or are you happy for it just to be me, and then whatever I decide to talk about gets fucking spoke about? Let me know in the comments, and I'll do what I can to sort that out. Right, let's get stuck into the Snapchat Q&A. Corbs John, if you sent me a snap a couple of hours ago, unfortunately the amount of memory that it holds, that those that sent the first few snaps in today, it hasn't saved your snap. So apologies, I can see there's a couple of videos here, there's a couple of stuff like that. So the first one, it's only saved the last 2 hours. There was that many people sent stuff through that if you sent stuff in the first hour of me asking, it's probably not come through. There's nothing I can do about that, it's gone. It literally doesn't save it. There's that many people sent us snaps that it just starts deleting stuff, so apologies for that. But anyway, Corbs John is the first one that we've got. Top 3 players you would like to see leave in January. Mine are Memphis on loan, Fellaini and Young. I think Ashley Young serves no purpose in the squad whatsoever, so I'm agreeing on that. I don't want to jump down Fellaini's neck after what happened last weekend. I think there is probably a use for him in the squad, but ultimately, is he harming the chances of Fosu-Mensah coming through? Is he harming the chances of Sean Goss coming through? Is he harming the chances of Schneiderlin getting games? If that's the answer is yes, then them three are all better than him. Fuck him off. Memphis isn't going on loan according to what I'm hearing, so I can't even pretend to say Memphis on loan, or I do think a loan would be good for him. Apart from that, there's not really many need to leave, really. There's been a lot of people go. If you look at the squad that won the title in 2013, there ain't many left hanging around. I would say Jones. But you know, he's going to need 6 months of games to prove me that he can actually maintain fitness. If he can maintain fitness, and there is a decent player in there, but he's never maintained his fitness in the 3 or whatever years he's been here. It's ridiculous. Kai Nu, most underrated player at United. Well, this is going to depend on where you rate them, isn't it? Initially. I think Tony Valencia this season. I think he's been excellent. I think he's been absolutely excellent. Excellent. Alex C. Turk says, what do you think the visible difference is already in Mourinho's over Van Gaal's style? Speed in the final third, risk in the final third, but that might not necessarily be down to system. That might literally just be down to the personnel within that system, because if you take out Pogba, Zlatan, Mkhitaryan, and then you leave it to what it was in the final third with the same players, is there much difference? And I think, again, if I go back to Tony Valencia earlier on in the season, you see that Valencia was putting in first-time crosses. And I think that's the difference between it. It seems, I don't know what the instructions was. I'd love to be able to speak to one of the players and say, what was the fucking instructions under Louis van Gaal? Why did it seem that we needed 76 passes before we was able to create a chance? Or why was the build-up so slow? I think we are 10% more direct under Jose Mourinho. And that alone is creating a lot more chances. We're dominating games in the same sort of way. There's still a lot of the side-to-side probing passing. You know, people say possession for possession's sake. Louis van Gaal wasn't saying people, oh, keep hold of the ball, don't shoot. I'm sure. But there's definitely more chances being taken under Jose Mourinho than anybody else. And I think that's the thing that you can notice more than anything. KW1244 says, what made you start YouTube and also keep up the amazing videos, MUFC till I die? That's a good question. That's a question I've not been asked before. I wish I'd have started this 5 years ago. How about that? I wish I'd have started this 5 years ago. I didn't know I would get the traction that I've got with everybody, and the amount of people that come watch my videos absolutely blows me away. I completely love it. The thing that made me start was seeing that there was people that wanted me to talk longer on Full-Time Devils. And actually being able to get out what I want to say on this is better than sometimes on Full Time Devils, where it can be edited, or it can be a question that's asked with 6, 7 other people that all need to speak at the same time. And I'm pretty fucking wordy. So I think my explanations sometimes can take 8, 9 minutes. And you look at the length of some of my videos. The length of some of my videos just wouldn't fly on Full Time Devils. They're aiming for a shorter video. So it was that, really. It was the fact that I thought there was things that I could say and there was things that I could share. And there was obviously a number of people like what I was saying on Full Time Devils, enough that I thought I could probably come and speak about it on here. I did actually start doing videos on MUFC Latest before I was doing them on Full Time Devils. And again, that was just United talk. And I've been doing videos for a couple of years on the MMA Latest channel. And it was just seemed like, do you know what? I could probably do it on my own channel. Just talking about me. Or talking about things I do. Or talking about my opinion on certain stuff. And I don't want to just be me to camera constantly all the time. One of the reasons why I started doing a podcast was because I like having good conversations with people, and I like to get in depth, and I like to learn off people as well, and everybody you meet can teach you something. And I think there's a ton of interesting people out there that I'd love to speak to, and the inspiration for that is Joe Rogan's podcast. Honestly, it's out of this world, and he'll talk to some bananas people and expose you to unbelievable things that you just never thought possible. And obviously I'm a United fan, and I'm a presenter for a massive United channel, so that plays a massive part in my life, and I spend most of the week watching or talking about football anyway. So this channel's going to have a heavy focus on football. But obviously I also run MMA Latest, which has got, you know, the reasons that I end up talking about doing MMA, and, you know, I do more MMA and jiu-jitsu in the week than I do actual, you know, any sort of playing football. I can go weeks without kicking a ball. I don't really go weeks without hitting the pads or having a roll with somebody. So that's a big part of my life as well. And I know I don't mind playing the odd video game. I play Footy Manager. I've played it for years and years and years. So it's just, there's people willing to watch this content, and there's people enjoy this content, and I'm already doing that sort of stuff. Why not throw it out and see what can happen? Because there's been some incredible opportunities come our way just because of the fact that we can talk about football and stuff like that, and, you know, manage to meet people that you wouldn't have met because of it. So I like that aspect of it, and I think it's really cool. And I think if any of you are thinking about doing a YouTube channel, head over to my Reddit, and I'll give as much information and as much tips and advice as I can on it, because there's so many screens out there. The more people are doing this, the better, as far as I'm concerned. If you've got something to say, it's just the same as having a Twitter account, really. Say it. It's the second biggest search engine in the world. There's loads of people watching it. Now, I would never say to anyone, don't do it. You know, go do it. Go do it and enjoy it. If you enjoy it, fucking brilliant. Adam Farrell 99 says, is Bailey and Blind our best centre-back partnership? Bailey does the dirty work and Blind can start the attacks. I think so. And I think when you look at the defence, in your head you're thinking defender, defender, defender. But actually, as a Manchester United defender, there's a lot of attacking as a defender at United. Often you're going to be on the halfway line and not defending. I've got the hiccups bad today. Especially fullbacks. Fullbacks are probably 60-70% attacking footballers when you're a United player, rather than defensive duties. Which is why Valencia's look so good, because in a pure defensive aspect, yeah, he's physical and strong, so he's going to be tough to get round. He's agile. I don't think his defensive positioning is the best, and there's obviously room for improvement on that, and I think Jose will be working with him on that, and he'll be working with the coaches on that. I think there's potential for a very good fullback in Tony Valencia because of the mentality that he's got. But yeah, Bailey and Blind, for me, I think that probably is. I wouldn't mind seeing how Rowo and Bailey do together. That might be a bit wild, though. I think you might need someone a bit more calm, especially as De Gea isn't the most, you know, talkative of goalkeepers. Jordan Hench says, thoughts on Misha Tate's retirement and would I take Payet in January? Payet's had a shit season, so no, I don't think he's going to improve what we've got at the moment. He looks like a French Anderson, doesn't he? Like out of shape. And Misha Tate's retirement, I think she's going into the media. I think she'll do very well in the media. She understands the game and breaks the game down brilliantly. And you think she has been UFC champion, so fair fox to her. She was Strikeforce champion before that. She come up against a real tough opponent in Nunes. and obviously she couldn't beat Ronda. She was probably not going to get that money fight again with Ronda, I wouldn't have thought. So you can understand, like, she's like, well, what am I going to do? Just fight around the top couple? I think she's 30, but I think she's been fighting for quite a long time. So fair play to her. I think she'll make a great analyst. And obviously because she's a female analyst, she's going to be different to some of the analysts that are already kicking around out there. So good luck to her. She seems like a top bloke. I was going to say top bloke then. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. She seems like a top bloke. So yeah, fair fucks to her. Jamie J. Walsh says, what do I think of Phil Foden being named on a bench for City against Celtic, and what do you think of Sanchez and Brahim Diaz to Angel? City are doing something that United haven't done yet this year, which is bringing in the youth for games that are less meaningful. It was a bit of a dead rubber game, wasn't it, against Celtic? United haven't had the opportunity of a dead rubber game yet so far, so there hasn't been the opportunity for that. But there also doesn't look like there's a desire from Mourinho to do that just yet. Phil's a good player, undoubtedly. Is he their first choice level? No. They're doing it because they can get to do it. And they're doing it with someone so young to possibly set records and to possibly make headlines, because City literally do things for that reason. Brahim Diaz and Jadon Sancho are fucking excellent footballers. No two ways about it. They would go into the United academy and they would improve it. The same way some United players would go into their academy and improve it. You can't compare Gomez to Sancho or Diaz because they're totally different footballers, even though they're all fairly attacking. If you put all three of them in a team, you're going to have issues because you're going to struggle to keep them quiet. Sancho's a big lad, well-built lad, broad lad, but with incredibly quick feet and a really aggressive nature. Diaz is smaller. He's got a bit of Aguero about him, that lateral movement and agility. Brilliant close control, and he makes things happen. Him and Sancho both make things happen, both very, very, very good footballers. But don't take nothing away from Gomez. Gomez is going to win a Ballon d'Or one day. That's how good he is. And we've got other players coming through the academy that might one day reach that level as well. Several, in fact. Well, maybe not Ballon d'Or level, but certainly talking about first team and then potentially elite, whatever, wants to get on the back of that. The issue is you've got to get games between 18 and 21 in the first team somewhere. That's vital. But yeah, good players. It's good for the City of Manchester ultimately, because the level of competition in this city for football, it isn't matched anywhere in the world at the moment. Arguably London, but it's fucking huge. There's nowhere that's got a population count like Manchester that's got the level of intensity about football about it. It's fucking brilliant. Harry Mills 31 says, simple one, who is United's most talented footballer since I began to watch them play? Cristiano Ronaldo's up there. Talented. What do you mean by talented though? Talented's almost an unquantifiable, isn't it? Obviously Morrison was talented. Cantona was talented in ways. I don't know, talent is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, Nani, physically gifted, has got the ability to go around people, just doesn't have the consistency to do it. I don't know, it's a tough question. I think Ronaldo's the obvious choice. He's the only one that's won a Ballon d'Or in my time of watching Manchester United. Should he have been the only one to win it? No, I think Keane was good for it maybe in 2001. I'm not sure he won it in 2001, but I think Roy Keane should have been in with a shout. I've never seen a force of nature like Roy Keane in 2001. David Beckham was the best player in the world in 1999. That is a statement. That is not me throwing a question out for you. He was Manchester United's highest ranked player in the Ballon d'Or rankings in 1999, and he lost out to Rivaldo, who didn't get out of the group stage with Barcelona. Can you imagine a Ballon d'Or going to someone nowadays who didn't get out of the group stage? You've got to win everything to win a Ballon d'Or at the moment. And Beckham, I said this often, right? Beckham epitomises the mark of a great player. And I think people underrate him because of the celebrity. But he wouldn't have got the celebrity if he was shit. He simply wouldn't have. It'd have been Robbie Savage. The mark of a great player is the impact that they can have in a game. And the greater the game, the greater the player to have a great impact on it. And if you pick out any key moment that you want from 1999, any key moment that you want, David Beckham's involved. Go to the final. You remember the two, Sheringham and Solskjaer scored those goals. Sheringham only got 5 goals that year. One of them was pretty important, wasn't it? David Beckham put both the crosses in for the corners. He had direct impact on that game. Semi-final. Turin. You remember it for Roy Keane's header. Who put the cross in? Who put the cross in for, I think it was Andy Cole's goal. It's Beckham. It's Beckham. Quarter-final. Inter Milan. You remember it for York scoring 2 goals inside the box. 2 headers. Beckham put the crosses in. Barcelona away. York and Cole's little telepathic little shimmy and 1-2. Fucking brilliant football. Who played the ball? David Beckham. Giggs's shirt off winner. Everyone remembers that from the Arsenal game. Everyone forgets about David Beckham's world-class goal in the first half. When we came back against Spurs on the final day of the season, Beckham puts it in a joint of the goal. And he did that time and time again all throughout the season. You know, the Barcelona game at home scores a fucking wonderful free kick. Scored out full of free kicks that season. All of the crosses that came in for that right hand side. Dwight York might have got the golden boot. But he wouldn't have got 10 goals that year if it wasn't for David Beckham. He wouldn't have. David Beckham was the best player in the world that year. And I think what happened was people who wanted to vote for United, or United players, their votes were split because there were so many players who had a good season. And that's what you need to win the Champions League. It's not always as obvious as like Ronaldo scored 42 goals for us, he was player of the year, everyone vote for him. Who do you vote for in 99? Scholes was mint, Keane was mint, Ryan Giggs was mint, Cole was mint, York was mint, Jaap Stam was mint, Peter Schmeichel was mint. All of those players was mint. So for Beckham to even still come second when the votes would have been spread so far amongst all of those players, for me he won the Ballon d'Or in 1999. Fuck it. He was absolutely mint. Danny Farrand, I'm assuming, there's a couple of X's in there. Will Marshall go back to being a striker after Zlatan Reeves? Who knows? At the moment, I don't think so. Because I do think that they're either looking at Griezmann or a possible Lukaku one. I've just got a sneaky suspicion that there's something in this Lukaku thing. And if he gets Lukaku, then you're not going to play him wide. And Marshall can play wide because of his pace. But he needs to learn how to play wide. You can definitely play wide. He does have to add extra things to his game to do it effectively, though, at the highest level. I don't mind seeing him down the middle, though. I think he is a great striker, but I also think he's deadly coming along the byline and then jibbing into the box the way he does. If he can add a cross to him, as well, not just shooting for himself, then he'll be a very effective wide man. Jake M31298 says, should Rooney be given some form of recognition if he breaks the record? I know what's about to happen if he breaks the record. Watch out for hotel football. But yeah, Nike are going to go bananas over it, aren't they? If he breaks the record. Andrew Jones 7743 says, I'd like to start off by saying that you're my favourite of Full-Time Devils, obviously. But the question is, do I think Schneiderlin should replace Carrick once Carrick retires? I think he's got to be in with a shout, but I also think Daley Blinn's got to be in with a shout. And I really like the look of Sean Goss. But he's got to get first team games. And to ask him to step up and do what Carrick's doing right now is probably impossible for him to do. I think he needs to go out on loan in January. And if you're a Championship manager or a League One manager, and I don't know how many of you watch this channel, I'm assuming none, but if you are, on the off chance that you are, get on that phone and tell them that you want Sean Goss, because Sean Goss will make your Championship team better, definitely. Marshall MB459 says, what 5 Spurs players would you have at United? I'm taking Alderweireld, definitely. I'm going to take Danny Rose at the moment because I think he's better than Luke Shaw right now, but I think ultimately Luke Shaw's got a higher ceiling than him. But for the moment, I think we could do with a decent left back. I like Dembele. And I suppose the obvious is to take Kane. I'll take Kane if you're fucking giving him us. I don't think it'd be Ali though. I don't know who the 4th would be. I don't know. Son maybe. Son looks a player, doesn't he, at the moment? Maybe Son. Yeah, I'm going to go with Son. Liam Crook. How do I think Mata gets into our team? Oh mate, I've been throwing this around my head for weeks. There's a conundrum here. Mkhitaryan and Mata are quite similar players. Can he play them both together? Do we lack a little bit of speed when we do that? Does he prefer someone a bit more physical, like a Marshall, maybe? Don't know. Unless he plays a number 10, you can play Mkhitaryan and Mata sort of next to each other. But if you play 4-3-3, which is what I think you need to play to get the best out of the midfield, that's why Jose gets paid the big bucks. He's got to make big decisions like that. Simon Isaac BR7 says, thoughts on Memphis? Not been given the opportunity at United. Don't understand what some people's problems with it. With him, I think they've just read the papers and seen that he drives a flash car and decided that, fuck this guy, he drives a flash car. Well, if that's the case, you've allowed the papers to create the narrative for you without really looking at it yourself. I think Memphis is probably going to go to Everton, and he's probably going to smash it, and we're probably going to regret it. And then we're going to be doing videos about, why do we let Memphis go? Or should we buy him back for about fucking 90 million? Hierdem says, how much of an impact would the signing of Griezmann have on United? That was fucking really fast, mate. Give me some time to read it. On a playing standpoint and the way the club is viewed. That was really fast. Was it like 2 fucking seconds? Can't replay it again now. I don't think it's going to have any impact on how the club is viewed, because I think we're already viewed as one of the elite clubs in the world with a lot of financial muscle that can go and sign anybody. I think signing Zlatan and Pogba and Mkhitaryan this summer, under the circumstances that we found ourselves, did that. And I also think bringing in Zlatan and Di Maria when we had no Champions League football last time also did that. And bringing in Schweinsteiger on a free didn't work out, but that was, everyone sat up and took notice a little bit of that. So I don't think there's any issue in terms of us being able to cherry pick the best talent in the world if we need it. Griezmann is a player like Pogba on the up and up, sought after from much of Europe. Not the finished article just yet, but definitely on his way there. On the playing side of things, again, I hope Jose's got a clear starting 11 and style of play in his head, because at the moment, I'm not seeing that on the pitch. And I think once we get that, the talent is absolutely there for us. And the talent is there for us to win this league right now, but the results aren't. That's the only problem at the moment. Once the results start coming in, we could really put a run together and shock a few people this season. We really could. Kip Potter says, is full-time Devils my full-time job? Keep up the long videos. Love listening in work. Aren't you a nosy fucker? Do you work for the tax? Bradley Smith 7 says, do I think Fosu Mensah is getting enough game time of late? Think he could be used more? I think he could be used more, to be honest, as well. And that's another thing, is that you've got the likes of Fellaini getting minutes, people pulling their fucking hair out with him, and you've got the likes of Fosu. Here's the thing, right? He's 18. He is 18. When he comes on, he shows what he can do. But the thing that I've got a bit of faith in Mourinho for is that when people have come in and shown what they can do, they've been keeping their places. So I think he's got a duty to him and the club right now to play more Fosu Mensah the way he came in. Brought him on at the right wing, and he was fucking class, wasn't he? Looked like he played right wing all his life. And it's the first time I've ever seen him playing on the right wing. No idea. I hope he plays him more. Will he play him more? Don't know. He's keeping him in the first team squad for a reason, not allowing him to go and get game time in the 23, so who the fuck knows. Coranium says, who's better, Harry Kane or Diego Costa? I don't know. I'm going to pass on that, mate, and say I don't know. Thomas Moriarty says, do I think Mata is better than Ozil? I'm beginning to think he is. Oh, it's gone. That was quick. Fucking that was quick, mate. No, I think Ozil probably edges it just a little bit, but Mata's a fantastic player that doesn't get the recognition he deserves, I can say that. But Ozil's a brilliant footballer. Arsenal fans don't deserve him. Aminit says, am I well mad about Memphis not playing? I'm not well mad. He hasn't actually produced something where you go, fuck's sake. If he'd have done what Mkhitaryan has done, and then not been played, then I'd have been mad about it. I'm more disappointed. It's not that I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Ahmed says, if I could go back in time and change one thing in my club's history, what would it be? Nothing. Because Manchester United is what it is because of every single thing that's happened. The disaster in Munich led on to other things, and we don't know what would have happened to the club if we hadn't have happened that. So you can't go changing one event and thinking that, would you go back and change all of the shit managers that we had in the 70s? That led on to the events that led to Sir Alex Ferguson being given the job in 1986, which led on to the most successful period in the club's history. If you change something in the middle of all of that lot, like Eric Cantona left because we didn't bring in someone like Davasuka in 1996, 1997. If we'd have brought in Davasuka, would we have won the treble in 99? if we'd have won back-to-back trebles in 2000, would Sir Alex have retired that then instead of doing so in 2013 when he did? Every single thing that's happened happens for a reason, and it's all connected. If you change one thing, the butterfly effect says you don't know what the fuck's going to happen down the line. So no regrets. I love Manchester United today for what they are, not for what they might have been. Mo Ahmad 12 says, if I had to choose between Lukaku and Griezmann as a summer buy, who would it be? Fuck! Oh. I don't know. Fuck you, Mo. That's a really hard question. Lukaku on one hand has obviously got the Premier League experience of scoring a shit ton of goals in what's been a fairly mediocre side. Griezmann stands out in an excellent side. What's he going to do when he comes to United? What would either of them do when it comes to United? It all depends on what Jose Mourinho's style of football is going to be. They're completely different. Lukaku is this beast. Griezmann is a small man. Don't know, what that would relate to in terms of playing on the pitch. If you've got the choice of those two, you're doing all right, aren't you? Dwayne 23 just sent me a black screen. Shabazz says, is Iniacho and Iwobi underrated because they aren't English? Iwobi even. Probably. City fans aren't underrating Iniacho though. They're hyping the fuck out of him. Iwobi's a baller as well. They're good footballers. Again, you've got to see what happens 2-3 years down the line. How players develop in that. Mr. Pendino says, thoughts on Tuanzebe when Bay is away at the AFCON. I would have thought he was getting a start prior to now to have any sort of chance of it happening. Doesn't look like it's going to happen for him just yet, does it? I mean, the guy's magic though. The guy is more than ready for that call-up. And if I was him, I honestly would be getting pissed off with the lack of activity, wouldn't it? J Robbo 00 says, thoughts on Josh Harrop. What a silky footballer. How about that? Josh Harrop is a silky footballer. Touch and glide and skill that you couldn't ask for. Maybe not physically big enough for something to force his way into the team. I think he should go out on loan, but he's not going to get to go out on loan because it's threadbare in the under 23s at the moment. But I think if he did go out on loan, he would not do you any disservice whatsoever. Really good footballer. Seems like he's got his feet on the ground. Hamish Seaton says, who would I put as my future back four? You could have a future back four from the academy. I think Leo Connor at right back's a real prospect, the Irish lad. You've got Tuanzebe, Roshan, Terrell Warren as your centre halves. Bay's only 23, or 22 or 23. And obviously Luke Shaw, left back, Borthwick Jackson, left back. You've got Riley, could play left or right back. You could have a homegrown, largely English back four. Not a problem. Saud Easton. Is Marshall better as a left winger or number 9? Left winger for now, number 9 possibly for the future. Kevy says, would I like to see United join the Europa League, and who do you think we need to avoid? Don't care, mate. Couldn't give a fuck if we went out of it. Dewick7 says, who would I say can win the Champions League next from England in the next 5 years except United, and would I say Liverpool can, provided they bolster their defence and increase the depth of their squad? No. Liverpool aren't good enough to win the Champions League yet. They're not good enough to win the Premier League yet. But they wasn't in 2005 when they actually won the thing. So, maybe. They've got, for me, Coutinho's questionable. Firmino, I wouldn't have said is. But have they got real world-class talent? Apart from Coutinho, who I still think there's a question mark over. I don't think so. So, I think you need 3-4 minimum world-class players to compete in the Champions League. Have they got the manager in the system? Possibly. Squad depth says no. World-class players says no. So I'm going to rule Liverpool out. Arsenal could. Arsenal could do it this year. Arsenal could easily do it this year. And I'm not putting any sort of caveat on that. They could easily do it this year. But they won't. City could do it. No, Pepe's a good manager. I think he's got his flaws, but he is a good manager. And obviously they've got world-class talent. So they could do it. It probably will happen soon that another English team wins it, just because of the amount of cash that's in the Premier League, forcing the talent up there all the time. Aaron M830 says, if Blinder's your first choice centre back, do I think Darmian can be left back until Shaw finds full fitness again? Not really digging. Darmian as a left back. Really not. I like him as a right back. I think he's got limited abilities going forward, but I think technical as a right back he's fine. He always has to come inside when he's on the left and using his right foot, and just can't dig it. He looked great in his first few games, didn't he, at right back for us, and then just fell off royal. Aaron writes for us over at MUFC Latest, so if you want some MUFC news, then that should be your number one go-to place. No transfer clickbait bullshit, just good analysis from Reds. I don't promote MUFC Latest enough, but you should go and check it out. It is one of the biggest MUFC news sites in the world, and created by Licolome, so go check it out. Philip G. Maguire says, can Bailly choose not to go to the African Cup? Probably. But could you ever ask someone not to play for a country? It's not like England, is it, where everyone's like, fuck England. I don't know. Probably not. KL99MUFC, where do I think United will finish this season in relation to the league? Oh, shit. What's with all the real fast ones? I can't replay none no more. I think we'll finish top 4. Still do. Dodge 12199 says, do you think Mourinho will eventually bring success to United? If he stays long enough, yes. Undoubtedly. You can already see the improvement, and I spoke to one of my mates who's a strength and conditioning coach at Southampton, and I said to him, is there some truth in the challenges of playing Thursday, Sunday, or is it just complete bullshit? And he said, if it's going well, it doesn't matter. Tuesday, Sunday isn't a problem. Sorry, Thursday, Sunday isn't a problem if it's going well. If it's not going well, there's no time in the schedule to put things right. Players are coming in doing active recovery and then preparation for the next game, but there's no time to work on the sort of tactical things that you need to work on to change styles of play and to improve certain things in the gameplay. So that's the issue when it's Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, 2 games a week. There's no time in the schedule with the amount of travelling that's required to change stuff. They are coming in and training, but the training is active recovery, getting them ready for the next match. No time in the schedule to really work on changing things when things aren't working right. That's the issue. So if you're going well, you can fucking breeze through it. Think the treble season. We had so many games. Doesn't matter. Team knows what it's doing. Keep going. When it's going bad and you have to change things, no time in the schedule for it. JT MUFC 15 says, Tony Marshall or Marcus Rashford? I don't think it should be an either or, especially on the left. I think Marcus's crossing ability from his right foot is fucking massively underrated. I would see him played on the right as opposed to the left. I think Marcus is good on the wing because he's so direct and so fast and so relentless. But people need to relax on him. Because of his explosion on the scene, he generated this enormous expectation of himself, which was always going to be hard for him to fulfill. Especially considering this time 12 months ago, Marcus Rashford was on the... Marcus Rashford and Fosu Mensah and Angel Gomez and Axel Tuanzebe, I think, were on the receiving end of a 5-1 arse-kicking in the Under-18s FA Youth Cup at the hands of Chelsea at Altrincham. I think I've got the team sheet down there somewhere. Let me see if we can find it. Oh, can't find it. How many of you are sitting there looking at the blank screen going, the fuck am I watching here? It is around here somewhere. One sec. Gonna do my fucking anywhere that is now. Omzi02 says, if we could change three things about United, what would they be? Safe standing, fan influence at the board, or an academy player to make their debut every season, etc. I don't know if a fan representative on the board would be that good a thing, because that fan representative, knowing the United fan base, would just get ruined. It wouldn't be a good job to have. I'd love some sort of thing like what they have for Athletic Bilbao, where they have to have players from a certain region, but I won't have it for a certain region. I would have it along the lines of like each matchday squad needs 4 or 5 homegrown players in it as a rule. I think that would be fantastic. Because I think just having one in there just puts a token on, whatever. But I also think it's fantastic that there hasn't been a rule in place, and we've managed to have a homegrown player in every single matchday squad since 1937, or 38. So I think that's a fantastic achievement from the club, that no one's ever forced us to do that, but we've done that. Whereas obviously the Basque one is a club rule. Good question. Good question. What would improve Manchester United? Would a safe standing area improve Manchester United? On the surface of things, yes, I'd like that sort of thing to go through, but in the reality of those things, is it going to improve anything at Old Trafford? I say no. The simple act of being stood up doesn't improve fuck all. There has to be a change in mentality and a change in attitude, because at the moment, everybody stands in J stand, everybody stands where I am in Stretford End. If no one's singing though, that doesn't bring anything in. There needs to be a change of policy in terms of maybe flags, banners, that sort of stuff. And as much as, it's against the law, pyrotechnics look fucking awesome. Thomas Adair says, it's not loading. Score prediction for Sunday. I've said 1-1 on the preview. I think it will be. I think we can also dick them if we wanted to as well. I just don't think we will. Jordy Adams 7 says, alright Stephen, quality United content mate, keep it up. Should we look to loan Fosu out needs game time? We'd love to see him in midfield with Pogba. I'd love to see him in midfield with Pogba. You're not going to get him loaned out. No way. But yeah, he needs game times. He will develop faster with game times at this age. No doubt about it. Humayun 17 says, Leicester are likely to be relegated. Really? Do you think? I don't know if they're going to be relegated. I think they probably escaped that. Will Ranieri get sacked if they do? I'm going to say no, he won't get sacked if they do, because he's just won them the title 12 months ago. But I don't know the owners. They might. He might not have the fight to bring them back up. But that just keeps adding to this Leicester story, doesn't it? From going from nothing to winning the league to get fucking relegated again. It's wild. Avezea says, do you think we will look to bring in LVG in 3 years? Do you look back at LVG in 3 years and say he brought through or signed and say he did well? Or will it be a fully changed 11 to the one we see now? No, I think there will be aspects of what he did at all of the clubs that he's done will happen here as well. And I think some of the players that he's signed haven't been really given the fair crack. Shit, maybe that's it. Maybe Mourinho's iced out some of the players that Van Gaal signed on purpose. Maybe I'm just chatting shit. Wouldn't be the first time. No, I think he's give that many debuts that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all of those players. Definitely. Because some of them are going to go on to do big things in the game, no doubt. Swag9400 says, hello Stephen, I was on Skype with FT Devils about buying Van Dijk. What do you think about him and would you buy him? Who would I buy if not him? I like Van Dijk, but I don't know if the transfer market's the answer to the problems that we've got at the moment. I think the squad is good enough right now with all the personnel that we've got if everybody's fit. It's just not getting the right tune out of the players and that we've got. So I think as soon as we address that, we'll be fine. Callum Hunter 17 says, what is the full story why Morrison didn't come good? Morrison had a horrific childhood, which the full details of which will probably come out at some point. I'm not putting them on video. It's not my place. He didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance. He had a horrific childhood to the point where, he'd never brushed his teeth. He didn't know what a knife and fork was. How can you expect a kid to come from anywhere and have the sort of mentality to be a professional athlete under the sort of microscope that's going to happen at Manchester United? I got nothing but love for Ravel Morrison. He didn't stand a chance. And it's not his attitude. Well, maybe it is down a little bit to his attitude, but not everybody starts at zero. Not everybody starts at zero. Some people start on a minus. And it was never going to happen. With the pressure that it must be dealing with being a United player, dealing with being a professional athlete at a very top level, is that hard that so many people who start off at 10, with good families and good backing and all the rest of it, can't do. So when that's not the case, he didn't stand a chance. AJ Salmon says, am I worried that if we sign a new centre-back in January that'll stunt the growth of the youth players? Yes, I am. That's why I also don't think the answer to everything is the transfer market. Alex Bamford says, do I like my fresh trim? It's alright, mate. I go shorter on the sides, but yeah, whatever you like. Official Charlie Z says, do I want Mourinho to be a long reign if he continues to shun the youth? No. And I don't think he'll get a long reign if he continues to shun the youth at United, because I think there's certain board members that will see their arse with that. Certain board members won't care, Mr. Woodward, as long as the money's coming in and the trophies start coming in. I'm happy for him to not shun it, but prioritise the first team at the moment. The first team is his priority. If the under-23s win the under-23 league and the under-18s win the Youth Cup and they win the league, and he debuts loads of players but comes 7th in the league, do you think he can go, look what I did? Or do you think everyone will be like, fucking get him out of our fucking club? You know the answer. They'd be fucking planes around Old Trafford and everything. He's got to focus on the first team, get that right. But the second the first team looks like it's playing the right sort of tune, then he has to focus on that. And that might be next year, might be the year after, but he can't ignore it forever. He's not going to last if he does. Eamon Soccerman says, how long do I think Mourinho will last at United? I think he'll get 5 years, 6 years. And I think we'll win the league with him. But I think it'll blow up in some sort of fucking chaos. And I don't know who you get after that. For me, at the moment, Simeone is the best manager in the world. Can he be tempted to leave Spain by then? I don't know. Victor Eternal. Who do you think will break out from the youth this season? Nobody. Sorry. I don't think they're going to get the opportunities. Everybody who was about to break through sort of got a breakthrough last season. The only one that probably could is Tuanzebe. The other one who's already had his debut is Joe Riley. Apart from that, I think the others are a little bit of a way off. But there are players that might go out on loan and be a success and be ready for us next season. The likes of Goss and Harrop, as we've already mentioned, and Matthew Willock as well. Kian Buckley says, do I think Tuanzebe will get his chance? I'd love to say it'd be this year, but I think the pressure's going to be on Mourinho too much. Unless there's a ton of injuries, I don't think it'll happen. Common Gobshite says, do I think Josh Harrop deserves to be in the first team squad? We've already sort of covered that one. I think he's just off the level at the moment, but he's a fantastically gifted footballer. I'd say he's probably on a par with Andreas Pereira in terms of skill level. So we've seen what Pereira's doing and absolutely killing it out on loan at the moment. So if Harrop got that opportunity, went out on loan, did what we know he can do, then there'd be a big clamour for getting him into the first team. I think, unfortunately, the under-23s are struggling for manpower, which means they're struggling on the pitch, which means that the clamour for anybody coming through the under-23s isn't that loud at the moment. But we know what we've got with players like him and Willock and Goss and Tuanzebe and Riley and some of the others. So I do think there's a career in the game for some of those. Anyway, that will do. 45 fucking minutes, including a couple of minutes scrabbling around on the floor looking for a team sheet from 12 months ago. But thank you for watching. Anything you like in the comments, let's get some discussion going either here or over on the Reddit group with over 250 members on there at the moment. You can win a PS4 if you already joined. If you didn't join already, it's too late to join now, but you can still download the app and help support the podcast. Back with the podcast on Thursday. And that's about it really, innit, for now. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit. Oh, and subscribe, you fucks.